Welcome to the second part of Lecture 2. In this part of this lecture, we're going to be looking at the second stage of the CFD workflow, which is the topic of geometry creation. We're going to see very quickly that the geometry that we create for a CFD analysis may sometimes only be a subset of the physical geometry that you may have before you. Now, this is because we're only going to create geometry where we're solving equations. And so for a fluid flow simulation, we're only going to create geometry where a fluid is physically present. Now, when it comes to creating the geometry within a computer, we'll see there's a number of ways we can do this, and there's a lot more detail in your tutorials with particular relevance to how you do it within ANSYS's Design Modeler of how you do this creation process. Now, every geometry creation tool for every different CFD package works slightly differently. But hopefully with the general concepts that I'm going to discuss in this part of this lecture, you can equally well approach geometry creation in ANSYS's Design Modeler or in something like COMSOL Multiphysics or a number of other CFD packages that use graphical geometry creation tools. So, let's say that from step one of the CFD workflow, we have a clear idea of the problem that we're solving and the geometry that's going to represent it. So, now we need to think about where the fluid flows. Let's consider the syringe in the second and the third example that we looked at in the last part of this lecture. If we consider that syringe, it's a complex physical object. You've got a plunger, you've got handles on the plunger, you've got a screw which allows you to attach the needle to the syringe body. But if we are only interested in fluid flow, just think which parts of the syringe the fluid occupies, because that's the only bit that you need to design a geometry for. And so very quickly we simplify what we're doing. We just have the fluid within the main syringe body and the fluid within the needle. That's it. A relatively straightforward geometry to produce. Now, of course, if we're interested in heat transfer, let's suppose we had a metal syringe and that it's being heated maybe radiatively from an electric heater, so only one side of the syringe gets heat. Not only have we now broken symmetry in our heat transfer problem, but not our fluid flow problem, but we also have to incorporate heat transfer. And so then we would have to incorporate the external components of the syringe. The plunger might be an important part of how the heat transfer happens. The syringe wall that's facing that radiative heat source would be as well, as would any other part of the geometry that faces that radiative heat source. And so we'd have to know the thicknesses, the geometry, the materials, and so on and so forth. So we would then have to design the whole syringe geometrically. So, don't forget that we're only designing geometry where we're solving equations. And if all we're doing is a flow problem, we only are concerned about where the fluid is within the geometry. So, I'm going to take you through an example that you'll see in your second tutorial, which is an injection head. Now, on the whiteboard in front of you, I've put two pictures, one red, one blue and red. If you look at the red picture first, you can see the fluid flow paths within this injection head. You've effectively got a main conduit, which is marked with 2 velocity inlets, and then 6 nozzles that branch off that conduit perpendicularly. And the exit of each of those 6 nozzles is where the fluid comes out. Now, that same geometry is what you see internally within the blue picture on the whiteboard. And you can see one of the fluid inlets, and you can see all 6 of the fluid outlets. The blue part, however, is the metal in which that geometry is embedded. And so what we have is a piece of metal that is etched internally with hollow pathways that are filled with fluid. So let's recap and say, look, let's say that the fluid flows in the bits that are red and the blue is solid metal. So if we had a fluid with a material that didn't have any temperature dependent material properties, so for example viscosity was not a function of temperature, then all we'd need to do is to define the red geometry. We just care about the fluid flow. If however we have a combined heat transfer and fluid flow problem, and that the fluid's material properties are temperature dependent, for example the viscosity reduces with temperature, as happens commonly, then we need to define both the red part and the blue part. The blue part would be the heat transfer problem. The red part would be the combined fluid flow and heat transport problem. So let's consider how we would build a complex geometry such as this. And one way you can do it is by using 3D objects and stitching them together. So we call these 3D objects within ANSYS's design modeler primitives. So let's think about our metal outer, which was originally blue on the last screen. We can create within Design Modeler this metal outer by simply joining two cuboids together. And the default operation within ANSYS Modeler is to combine together any objects that touch. And so we can very readily form this stepped cuboidal structure. If we now think about the internal pathways, we can exploit cylinders, and so we can have one cylinder which is our main fluid flow conduit with the two inlets, and then we can have 6 cylinders placed perpendicularly to that, which are the nozzles. Now, if we consider how we get 6 cylinders, we could specify 6 cylinders, one after the other, but there's an easier way of doing it. So within ANSYS's Design Modeler, to make multiple copies of a component, there are tools that you can use it, specifically the pattern tool. And so within Design Modeler, if you got one cylinder representing one nozzle, you would then specify your pattern tool to copy that 5 times over at a given separation distance. Now within ANSYS's Design Modeler, the default option, as I said, when you have objects touching each other, is to join them together. That's not the only thing you can do, as we'll see in a minute. You can, for example, use objects to cut other objects, or you can use objects to slice other objects. And that can be very useful if you want to create a hollow entity. More on that in a minute. So within ANSYS's Design Modeler, the pattern tool will allow you to copy linearly or copy radially objects, which greatly simplifies the object that you're designing. Again, there's more detail of this in the step-by-step tutorials that I've written for you. Now, let's think about hollow objects. What we do to make a hollow object is effectively subtract one geometry from another geometry. And so, in the context of our injection head here, we can make the hollow metal outer by defining both that stepped cuboidal geometry, where the metal is, by defining that combination of cylinders, which makes up the fluid flow path, and geometrically subtracting one from the other. So that would give you the metal outer. But suppose we want the metal outer and the fluid paths as well, because in this picture we've removed the geometry that represents the fluid. So we can't solve equations where we don't have a geometry. Now, within Design Modeler, when you're doing a cutting operation, you've got an option which says preserve bodies. And when you preserve bodies, you'll not only make a cut, but you will retain the geometry with which you are making that cut. In this second picture, that would be the blue geometry. And so by preserving bodies, you now have both your metal outer and you have geometry for your fluid paths in the inner as well. So with a little bit of experience, you can quite quickly sketch up complex 3D geometries that are hollow or not hollow and that have more than one geometric subentity. For example, here we've got our metal subentity and our fluid subentity. Now, don't forget, make the simplest possible geometry that you can get away with that solves your problem, but no simpler than that. And so with this 3D geometry, we can see that we've actually got two symmetry planes. We can slice it through its thickness, we can slice it along its width. Now, don't forget that second thing we need to look at. We can only use symmetry if both our geometry and our boundary conditions are symmetric. And so if we look at our boundary conditions here, we've got two fluid inflows. Let's say they're equal in terms of volumetric flow rate. Okay, that would be symmetric, that's good. And if we are including heat transfer, then let's say all surfaces are heated equally, in which case, again, that's a symmetric case. So we can slice our object. So the way we would do this is, within ANSYS's Design Modeler, is to create some sacrificial geometries. The sacrificial geometries I've chosen in the picture on the whiteboard are these two big cuboids shown in red. And I've specified the size of these cuboids such that they just leave me with the upper quartile of the geometry, which represents the original hole geometry sliced into 4 along its symmetry planes, and then I just keep one of those quartiles. And the picture there is what we end up with. So we've used our sacrificial geometries. We don't preserve bodies, and so we get rid of the things that we're using to do the cut, and then we're just left with 1/4 of our object. And when you do this, don't forget to scale your inflows according to how much of the inflow geometry is left. Very important. Check your Reynolds numbers, make sure they're what you expect. Make sure you've got your mental model correct before you do that. Okay, so you can make geometries by using primitive objects. Cuboids, cylinders, spheres, cones, truncated cones, tori, and so on and so forth. Now, sometimes somebody has already gone to that trouble before you because they may have spent a long time in a CAD package designing something. The picture on the screen here is a picture of a motorbike racer. This was designed within a CAD package. This is part of the tutorials within OpenFOAM and represents a very good example of a predetermined geometry that has come from CAD. I personally wouldn't want to spend a long time trying to recreate something like that out of primitive objects within a graphical tool such as ANSYS's Design Modeler. It would be a pointless waste of time because all we want to do is just import that CAD file. Now, we're not going to be covering importing CAD files in this course, but you do need to be aware that you can do it. So, the thing that you always need to bear in mind with CAD import is that it isn't sometimes as straightforward as you think it is. A CAD drawing will have a lot of extraneous detail that you may not need for a fluid dynamics model. Also, you might find that there's a lot of this detail requires a lot of simplification because the way edges come together, the way objects come together, may not be perfect for the kind of meshing that's going to happen, and we're going to be talking about meshing later. So be aware that CAD import exists, be aware that it's not necessarily a simple and straightforward process, and you may need significant geometry cleanup as part of that importing process. So let's recap a few key points. Remember the golden rule: you only create geometry where you're solving equations. So for a fluid flow problem, you only create geometry where the fluid is. A lot of geometries, especially for relatively straightforward engineering analysis, can be constructed using primitive objects, combinations of cubes, of cylinders, of spheres, and so forth. Don't forget you can join these things together, and you can cut them, and you can copy them. And clever use of cutting and copying can save a lot of time when it comes to drafting an object. CAD import is also routinely used by experienced practitioners. We're not going to be covering it in this course, but the thing that I wish you to remember there is that it is not necessarily a straightforward process, and significant geometry cleanup might be required before you get to the meshing step. And meshing is the thing we're going to be talking about in the final part of this lecture.